he walked actors through the blocking of execution scenes and how to strap them in onto the gurney, and yeah.
So talk about the conversations you had, for example, with the chaplains, then with, in this case, you have medics that are going to inject the three-drug cocktail into the arm of the prisoner. All of these are extremely controversial. Doctors involved with this, chaplains involved with this. I mean, were doctors willing to talk to you? And I found it interesting that in the cases in the film Clemency, it was a medic, though they said they'd call a doctor if the prisoner didn't die very soon.
Yeah. So I spoke to medical professionals who were not, these are medical professionals who knew about the process, but who were not directly involved in an execution. There are states where there are medical professionals who have carried out executions, and yes, it is controversial.
I mean, it has to be. They're violating the Hippocratic Oath.
Exactly.
Do no harm.
Exactly. And I know that in the state of Ohio, that there's a legislation that was trying to be passed where it would make the identities of the medical professionals who agreed to do this anonymous, confidential, and so there isn't that backlash. And the chaplains I spoke with, they no longer are chaplains, and they had to retire or move into a different path of corrections. One person who was a chaplain who was there during executions actually became a warden of a facility that doesn't carry out the death penalty. But I know that it was a controversial choice, but I wanted to show I wanted to show the different people who are implicated in this process.
Interestingly, just last week, a federal magistrate a magistrate judge issued an opinion likening Ohio's current three-drug execution process to a combination of waterboarding and chemical fire. That opinion was used by Ohio Governor Mike DeWine to issue a 6-month reprieve to death row prisoner Warren Keith Hennis. Talk about the use of lethal injection and the chemicals. That's the other part of it. Increasingly, drug companies saying, you cannot use our chemicals, our drugs, to kill.
Yes. I mean, it was really, so it's becoming increasingly more difficult and controversial how they get the drugs. I mean, there are more, in my research, there are more and more prison facilities that are getting them off the black market. And I've talked to a lot of death row lawyers who are using that as a way to, as part of their argument for cruel and unusual punishment. So the lack of the drugs and the shadiness that's involved in them getting the drugs, I found that is starting to be incorporated into legal arguments for clemency.
Talk about the medics and the doctors who do this.
In my research, I've found, and in some botched executions that I did a lot of research on and studied,
like Oklahoma.
Like Oklahoma.
Head goes on fire.
Yes, Clayton Lockett, I believe his name was. I remember a conversation with Dr. Alan Alt when he was giving me feedback on the script, and he was giving me notes on the opening execution scene. And Dr. Alan Alt, who had consulted on many executions, including in the state of Texas, he said that he was surprised that I had included a medical professional because he had worked in facilities where it was corrections officers that were inserting the needle, and they had
corrections officers inserting a needle, non-medical
staff, and they would practice on oranges.
Before they stuck the
leading
needle
up to the execution, because they practiced many times before the execution. I chose